Good morning, everyone. Today we're checking out a brand new video from Pop Draw Studios. Starseed Psyche, episode 20, My Captain's Haunted Past. Let's hop in and see what we can figure out in this, I guess you could say, prequel-sequel story.
Previously on Starseed Psyche, Kaio Adachi and his closest allies in the Super 8 squad learned the truth about the creators of the mechanical invaders known as the Q-Seracs. A group of humans calling themselves the Commission had found a facility called the Alrakua, buried in ancient Egyptian times by a Q-Sidian named Inavrian.
Every time I hear Alrakua, my brain just wants to start playing We Will Rock You, you know.
Who left it behind in the hopes that humans would use it to print technology that they could learn from and help them evolve and become a spacefaring civilization. Unfortunately, the Commission couldn't figure out how to replicate the technology, and with a limited supply of printing materials on the site, decided instead to fabricate an invading army to force humanity's progress forward through war.
I actually still can't believe that idea. It's like, well, we have no idea how to use this stuff, and there's only a limited amount of it and heals, so let's just cause war and mayhem. It's like, no, dude, what the hell? That's not at all the right step you need to do. Not at all. Oh yeah, you want humanity to become spacefaring, but no, you don't cause mass war and murder to get humanity into space. No, that's completely fucked up.
The Japanese military chief of staff, Shijikaburu, was one of these commission members, along with a once publishing magnate named Crispin Parsons. Parsons thinks he's a Starseed like Kaio, and using that information, Kaio manipulated him into helping the group of Super 8 soldiers escape the Alrakua. They're now in space in Crispin's ship, along with his 1.11% of the printing supplies he was taking as payment for his involvement in the war.
That's correct.
After Captain Hekamaaka understandably snapped and nearly killed Crispin, the group tied Parsons up, revealing Kaio's ruse, and decided to use his ship as a bomb, transporting it back to the Alrakua to explode. Before they can do that, they're going to land, remove the printing machine from the ship, and allow Toshiko Yamada to build them all weaponry with which to go after the last of the Q-Seracs and try to reveal to their other fellow soldiers and to the world that the Commission was actually the group behind the attacks, clearing the name of the Q-Sidians who have been accused. Faestriel has chosen a place for them to do this where she says they'll be safe. Let's see if she's right in the next chapter of Starseed Psyche.
Ah, that's right. Now we get to see Whale.
It was pretty wild seeing the world growing beneath us as we got closer and closer to the vast Amazon rainforest below.
Really?
It was also strangely amusing to see the world without lines dividing it. I mean, when I look at a map, it's usually all split up into countries and cities and whatever, so it's easy to forget that those are kind of just arbitrary lines we made up as humans.
I mean, yeah, you look at a map, everything is split off. You look at the real world, no lines exist.
We were coming down somewhere around the border of Ecuador and Peru. There weren't many clearings in the thick canopy of trees, but when we found one, Faye lowered the ship down into it, opened the landing gear, and settled on the uneven ground. Faye sprang up from her seat and turned to the rest of us. "We should be about 10 miles from the Ranachwara village. So long as there are no objections, I'll call my...
I'm sorry, Ranachwara village? I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing that right.
...people now and request their assistance." I looked around at the others. There were varying expressions across the group's faces, with Hekama's being the most stern. Still, Hugh replied, "Call them. I'll help Toshiko start detaching the printing bay. Let's get this bomb sent out fast in case the slime ball is lying about his ship not being trackable by the other commission members and their Q-Seracs crowns." He growled at Crispin as he spoke.
We'll find out.
Told us that despite the Q-Sidians being kicked off Earth after the Q-Seracs attacks began, some of her people had remained here in secret, in communities that were interested in the Q-Sidians' help and could keep their presence quiet. This meant that most people they were helping were indigenous people around the world, in tribes that had limited or no contact with major civilizations.
Good thinking.
As she'd put it, "The Ranachwara people have never been tempted to embrace modern civilization. When they first made contact with what you might call first world people, elders of their tribe visited the city of Quito. While they were amazed by what they saw at first, they eventually deemed that the people of the major city were so unhappy and living life in such a rushed manner that they preferred to remain in their forest home. They believe that with so much chaos and distraction, people are diverted from the simple things that make up a good life, such as community and connection.
Yeah,
Like many indigenous peoples
I
around the
agree.
world, they also have, as part of their verbal history, tales of star people, beings from beyond the stars who aided in humanity's creation. Even without modern technology,
It is a very common concept, literally all across the world.
they've managed to hold on to part of the truth of humanity's origin. This also meant they embraced the Cusidians with open arms when we offered our help to them upon the latest return to Earth. It made me wonder if my life would have been better being born in an isolated indigenous community. I guess it might have been easier to be happy, but in spite of how much of my life I'd spent being a colossal grouch,
Hey, you could also ask Yorick, just be like, hey, Yorick, let me ask you, man. And what would my life have been like if I was born in this place instead of where I was? Let's see if you get an answer back.
part of me kinda loved the complexity of modern human life. At least now that I'd gotten a lot more capable of navigating it with a better attitude. I looked to the back of the vehicle. Kima and Toshiko were carefully using their Super Wraith blades to separate parts of the tech from the ship. Still tied up, Crispin was staring daggers at them. Quinn was standing by, ready to help, but Chip was wandering up to me. Kinda crazy that if this works, we might actually end this whole war for good, huh? Even if it hasn't really been that long, it kinda feels like it's always been happening, you know? I responded with a long, slow nod.
But yeah.
There's still a lot to get done, but yeah, it's nuts to think about what life might be like when it's over. Even if we out the commission and get to keep our jobs as Super Wraith soldiers, what then?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there would kind of be no need for the Super Rights. Well, I mean, the Super Rights. That is going to be a big question.
Smirked. Well, I don't know about you, but I'll still be happy to figure that out, together or not at all, I said, finishing the line. Chip grinned widely and went on. Well, maybe we won't even want to stick around as soldiers after that. A tour of some other planets could be right fun if Faye's willing to take some of us out spacebound.
Yeah,
maybe
that
I'd
could be
take on my
great.
Repsoro form and we go exploring. I turned to him, trying to not let my surprised reaction come across as judgmental.
That would actually be great. Chip takes off his human disguise and goes back to being in the Repsoro that he was. Well, just in looks, he would still be the Chipagala that we all know. Oh, but then, yeah.
You want to take on your Repsoro form? He rocked his head back and forth. Well, yeah, kinda. Not all the dust has settled in my head on the fact that I've got this whole depressing past as a lizard man, but if you found out you could turn into a little Godzilla, wouldn't you want to see what that looked like?
Hell
I
yes! Duh!
I mean, yeah, and I didn't want to say it since I didn't know how you'd feel about it. Plus, you know, we've been pretty busy, but I'm kind of dying to see what your lizard form looks like.
Oh yeah!
Right? And what's it gonna feel like to have a whole extra limb sticking out of my butt? I don't think your tail comes out of your butt, Chip. He nudged me. You know what I mean. Lower back, whatever. The point is, I want to see if I can, like, grab stuff with it and whatnot.
Ooh,
We laughed about the
prehensile,
idea
huh?
a bit more, but as we settled, my eyes fell back on Hekima's stern face. Toshiko had talked to him for a while, but there still seemed to be a lot rattling around in his head. Hey, Chip, do you think Hekima blames me for Suta's death? I was the only one with him from our squad when he died. I don't know, friendo. My bet would be he blames himself, but if he's been all
Definitely.
torn up about it inside, maybe part of him felt like he could at least get some relief from the guilt by blaming you. Either
That
way, it
would
wasn't
make
either of your
sense.
faults. Suta knew the risks of joining up to fight aliens. Or alien tech, anyway.
Yeah.
I had hoped Chip would just say, no, of course he doesn't blame you. But the honest answer was what I needed. It helped me
Yeah.
realize that the only way I was actually going to know what was going on in Hekima's head was to ask him. It took a little over 2 hours of careful cutting and deconstruction.
I mean, then again, you also gotta admit, it was very unlucky for the guy. Like, first day on the field, first day in battle, immediately gets his head blasted into a non-existence. It's like, could the dude have been any more unlucky? Like, even Waru at least got a chance to reincarnate. Oh, wait a minute. Hey, Yorick, any idea if that guy was reincarnated as well, or was he a one and done? Anything? I don't know why I'm asking. I can't talk to Yorick.
Constructing to get all the pieces of the printing bay out of the ship and placed next to it on the rainforest floor. It basically looked like they'd just cut a segment out of the ship, making what looked like a small room with walls missing on two sides. One mechanical arm reached up
neat.
from the floor and another from the ceiling about 10 feet up. When they confirmed it was operational, Toshiko was basically bouncing up and down in anticipation. She activated the hologram interface and got down to work constructing a bomb.
So
It was too
weak.
easy for her, as there was already a set of templates for explosives. She made some adjustments, and the arms got down to work printing. It took about 20 minutes for the bomb to get nearly completed, and before the final outer layer was wrapped
not
around
bad.
it, Toshiko paused the arms and stepped in front of the hovering explosive. She rubbed both her hands together, and her left hand started to glow neon green. Even if I didn't fully understand what she was doing, it was all
It's actually kind of clear. She's adding in some of the superite energy to the explosive.
awesome to watch her work. Although, honestly, she could have been just sitting around reading a book and I would have enjoyed watching her. Something about being so enamored with someone just makes everything that person does remarkable. She pressed her hand onto the bomb and its
Nice.
core shifted from glowing blue to glowing green. When she was done, the light from her hand dimmed and the bomb shifted back to a blue glow. She stepped back, reactivated the arms, and they finished printing the final layer. There,
Alright.
Toshiko said.
It's ready.
This should be enough to destroy at least the entire printing bay, if not the whole Alrakua. We should send it in fast and hope they haven't evacuated all the Q-Seracs they had on site. We might even take out some of the commission if we're lucky. Faye used the Q-Serac's crown to
That would be good, but it would also still be better to get one of them alive. That way, you can then force them to admit their crimes to the entire world.
open up a hole in the bottom of the ship. Toshiko held the bomb under it, and it was beamed up onto the ship. Crispin snarled something through his gag from the ground where he was tied up and leaning against a thick tree trunk. I'm sure it was something lovely. Faye sat cross-legged with perfect posture and closed her eyes.
Yeah, if I had to guess, he probably said... Actually, I have no idea what he would say, because I can't understand... I can't do his speech pattern.
I feel the connection to the explosive device. I feel the connection to the ship, and I am doing my best to connect to the center of the Alrakua to ensure I transport the ship to the right place. It would be greatly appreciated if everyone would remain silent as I focus. We all kept our mouths closed. Crispin tried mumbling things again, but with the chirping birds and rustling of leaves, he was drowned out enough to not be noticeable to Faye.
White noise.
I didn't know how long this would take, but I figured it may be the moment I needed. I looked at Hekima and waited until he noticed my stare. I nodded towards the woods, and he understood that I was asking for a moment alone. We did our best to walk away quietly. My heart started thudding, almost as if I was charging into another battle with the Q-Seracs. I didn't even
Technically-
have my gauntlets on, and neither did Hekima. I wasn't entirely sure what I was so afraid of, but figured my fear might just have stemmed from confusion. I had a pretty
I
good
can
read
see
on
that.
how Chip, Faye, Toshiko, and even Quinn were likely to respond to things, but with Hekima, he was such a good actor that it was hard to know if I'd ever really known him at all. When
That
we were
is
far
also
enough away,
true.
Hekima asked, "What's up, Itachi?" I took a slow breath. I don't
Okay.
really know,
Want
to
to
be
talk.
honest. I just wanted to check in with you. I've been wanting to talk, but the last time I tried, it sort of felt like there was a wall up. I probably could have tried
Like an
harder,
emotional wall?
but you found out you were a reincarnated alien, that your best friend is a secret lizard man, and you started dating a renowned military captain. You've been pretty busy lately, and besides, you've got nothing to apologize for, Itachi. I'm your captain. It's not your job to check in with me. It's my job to check in with you. He sounded both
I mean, yes, that is true, but come on. You guys are friends, so that goes both ways. Drop the captain and Zaborn and crap for just 5 minutes, and talk as guys. Do a Chip and a Dio talk. There you go.
reassuring and angry at the same time. I know you're my captain and all, but outside of that, we're friends too, right? If you're having a rough time, you can still talk to me about it, or other people in our squad if you don't want to talk to me. That's not necessary, Itachi, he said bluntly. He was stonewalling me, so
He is
I figured
stonewalling.
I might need to be a wrecking ball. Yes, it is. If you're holding on to anything that's weighing you down in combat, then it'll affect all of us, and I know you
Exactly.
don't want that. His
Just
lip
talk.
trembled in anger ever so briefly before he said, I'm perfectly capable of doing my job effectively in my current state. I bet you could do it a lot more effectively after letting go of the emotional baggage you're lugging around.
Yes.
He sneered. You trying to piss me off, Adachi? A little bit, yeah.
I was about to
I don't
say just a
understand
little.
you, Akka. I can't tell when you're being you or when you're putting on an act. But I do know that you
Just a
snapping
little.
in the ship was real. And yeah, Crispin deserved it, but it also proves that you've got anger or something else clogged up in you somewhere. I used to live my whole life like that, and it sucks. So even if it means
Oh,
you
yeah.
chewing me out for Suta's death, or me having to get you a little ticked, I'll do whatever I have to get you to unload some of that weight. Because my captain or not, I want you to be okay. He opened his mouth and closed it again, pausing.
Ooh.
You think I blame you for Suta's death?
A little.
I shrugged. Well, do you? Another pause. Yeah, I did.
Ah, there it is.
But I knew that wasn't fair.
Did?
So I didn't say anything. I blamed you for the base explosion, too. When you saw me, just before the bomb you brought back from that mission exploded, I'd gone down to check on how they were securing it. They basically hadn't. It was just sitting out on a table. I thought about asking them to move it or contain it better, but I didn't. I walked away, saw you, then boom. I could have blamed myself for not taking action to secure it like I knew I should have. But it was easier to stack more blame on you. I know none of that is fair, but I couldn't stand having any more death on my hands. His body started to shake. I stepped closer. None of those deaths are on you, Hakama. You haven't killed anyone. He stepped farther back. Yes, I have. You just didn't know me then. I paused.
What?
I didn't know how to respond to that.
What do you mean?
Silence rang through the air, and I wasn't sure if he'd go on. I could practically feel resistance emanating off him. Finally, he said, Back in my first year of high school, I was a real self-involved prick. I acted like I was God's gift to the world, and anyone who thought otherwise wouldn't get so much as a second glance from me. There was this one kid, Ninto, scrawny, short little guy who I always knew didn't like me, or I thought he didn't. He might not have even thought anything of me when school started, I don't know. Either way, I thought he didn't like me, so the only time I ever acknowledged his existence was on the odd chance I saw an opening to get an easy diss on him. He was an easy target. Never said or did anything back. I was a big basketball fan then, too. And was set on being the captain of the school team even in my first year. I was cocky and I was certain I was good enough. Tryouts came and went, and I got on the team fine, but was pissed that I hadn't been made the captain. I tried to prove that I was better than the kid who was chosen, and that just made things worse for me. I was booted from the team after our first game. Coach said it was because I had a bad attitude and never passed. I didn't believe him, though. I told myself the coach had actually booted me to let on the sad sack kid with no friends. Top of the bench warmer list was Ninto. He got my spot. Told myself I didn't do anything wrong. I was too perfect. How could it have been my fault?
Oh, no.
Anything to not blame myself. So instead, I blamed a kid who hadn't done anything wrong. I'd bullied Ninto a bit before, but I became relentless after that. I did everything shy of actually beating him up so I wouldn't get kicked out of school.
Yikes.
I knocked over his food at lunch, figured out every insecurity he had, and railed on it. The kid never said or did anything back.
Damn.
Found out he wanted to join the military after school and told him a scrawny nobody like him wouldn't make it a day. I went on like that for first 2 years of high school.
Dude.
I even noticed when the scars started showing up on his forearms.
Oh no.
Just used that as another thing to diss him for. Saying he was a coward with no follow-through. I still remember so clearly the one and only time he actually stood up for himself.
Oh boy.
All he said was, "Can't you just leave me alone?" He didn't even sound angry, he just sounded exhausted. I told him, "I'm not going anywhere. You want me out of your life? Then just do everyone a favor and don't come back to our school."
Oh.
He wasn't in school the next day. Or the next.
Or ever again.
Day after that, the principal came to our homeroom class and told us Ninto wouldn't be coming back to our school.
Oh.
Or any school. He'd finally followed through.
Oh, God.
I wasn't charged or anything because I'd never hit him, but everybody knew it was my fault. I knew it was my fault. It took something that horrible to finally shut me up and realize I wasn't some amazing special kid. I was a monster who talked a way better person than me into his own grave.
Yeah.
I changed schools after that, and for the third year of high school, barely spoke to anyone. Got good grades, kept in shape, didn't let anyone...
I have nothing to say to this because I kind of experienced this. No, I wasn't a bully to a kid that drove himself to that. I was the kid being bullied. And that one point did attempt. I, as you can tell, clearly failed, and thankfully too. Because I decided, instead of letting them win, to live through spite. It's not for them, but to spite them. Yes, I know, it's cliche, but that's just how it is. 'Cause some people can, and some people just unfortunately can't. I don't have anything else to say other than always try to reach out for help, even if it hurts. Regardless of what you're going through in life, talk to people. Your parents, your friends, anyone and everyone. That's, we're going to take a small break because I need to go cry.
One get close in case somehow someone could find out about what I'd done and what kind of person I was. In the fourth year, I started feeling safer that nobody would ever know, so I opened up a bit, but with a completely different personality from my real one. Played the part of the fun-loving drama student and made sure that if I ever accidentally, even slightly remotely insulted someone, I'd apologize immediately. Couldn't stand the idea of hurting anyone again. I made friends, but didn't hold on to them after high school. Wasn't much point. The version of me they'd gotten attached to wasn't the real me. It was just a part I was playing. I signed up for military service, figuring I'd rob the military of a future soldier, so I should at least have a shred of honor and go in his place. Turned out the acting chops I developed by pretending to be someone else were handy for espionage and infiltration work, so I became,
you were a spy.
I guess what you could call a spy, until the Super 8th program came around, and something in me felt called to it. I didn't expect to be good enough with the blades to be made a captain, but that was the rank they gave me. I didn't like the idea of being in charge of anyone else, but I figured if that was where they wanted me, I'd just do whatever I had to make sure my squad was the absolute top-of-the-line set of soldiers, and none of them would ever die under my watch.
And then
Suta.
Yep.
Just like that, the old me came back. Even though I knew it was wrong, a voice in my head just kept blaming you for Suta's death, the same way I'd blamed Ninto. Then every time I saw you after that, it just reminded me who I really am under all the masks. No matter how hard I try to pretend I'm something else, I'll always be the bully who killed that poor kid who never did anything to me and was just living his own life, minding his own business.
This is definitely the emotional break this character has been needing for years.
That's why you don't get me. That's why you don't know the real me. I didn't want you to. I don't want anyone to. I'd rather not even know the real me. He slumped to the ground.
Weirdly just got a sense of deja vu. Don't know why.
Flopping against a tree and ducking his head. No tears were coming, but his body shook as if he was crying. I had no idea what to say. My mind started racing with thoughts of what Faye might say or do here. But then a voice came into my head, speaking much less sarcastically than usual.
Yorick?
Don't think, Kai, I would just talk. You've got this, chickpea. I opened my mouth and just let my instinctive words pour out. I knelt down in front of him. Hekima, you did a horrible thing, and maybe you'll never be able to fully let go of the guilt that comes with that. But this idea you have of who the real you is, it's wrong. The real you isn't some terrible, cruel snapshot of who you were when you bullied Ninto. That version of you evolved. It took a tragedy, but you realized how horribly you were acting and made a change. You stopped hurting other people and eventually started actively trying to help people. You may have been doing that with a bit of a persona that you decided to take on, but the drive under that was still fueled by someone who wanted to be better and do better.
Right.
When you realized you were blaming me for Suta's death, you may have felt angry, but you acknowledged to yourself that it wasn't right to blame me. You didn't act on that anger in a toxic way. The old you would have, but the real you, here and now, even under all the personas, knew it wasn't right. Plus, I may not have any obviously awful outcomes like what you have in my past, but if you look at every horrible thing I've ever said or typed about other people
Oh,
who didn't
yeah.
have the exact same opinions and worldviews as me,
Big pile.
if you laid them out to read, you'd think I was a monster too. You'd see that I was a petty, furious, pathetic jerk. And no matter what I do, that'll always be a part of my past. The point isn't to try and hide who you were from the world, it's to just
grow.
be the best version of you that you can be here and now.
Yeah,
Honestly,
that works
hearing
well.
that story, I don't think you've actually been hiding the real you as much as you think. I just think you're wrong about who the real you is. I don't like what you did in your past, but I do like the real you. The one trying to be better. You can't mean that, Kaio. You don't get to
But I
come
do.
back from something like what I did. I leaned closer to him. Do you think all the people you've saved as a Super 8 soldier would agree? How many people are still alive? Families were not broken in tragedy thanks to you dedicating your life to saving lives. You may have been a pretty terrible villain to someone when you were younger, but you've been a hero to a lot of other people since.
That is
He
true.
slowly leaned his head up and stared at my eyes, darting from one to the other in sadness and confusion. You're not just saying that to make me feel better and keep me on track for the mission, are you? I shook my head.
Nah,
If that's
man.
what I was doing, you know it. I'm not as good an actor as you are.
Yeah.
Then, almost scaring me, Hekima sprang forward, wrapped his arms firmly around me, and bawled like I never would have imagined hearing from him.
There we go.
A decade
Emotions.
of shame and guilt and fear was pouring out of his eyes, and I just let him go as long as he needed. I couldn't pretend there wasn't a part of me that got angry picturing Hekima bullying that poor kid, but I knew he was better now. It also made me think about every time I typed the words, "Go kill yourself," to a random
Oh,
person
yeah.
I didn't know online. I had no way of knowing if those people were depressed and teetering on the edge of actually doing that themselves.
You can
For
never
all
know.
I knew, I had been the final nudge that pushed someone a little too far. The thought
That's a
chewed up
shame.
my stomach, but I knew I had to do exactly what I just advised Hekima to do. I had to keep moving forward as a version of me who knew better.
You have to grow and evolve from who you were into who you can be. Well, I'll go ahead and say it. That was depressing as all hell. And I think after that, everyone needed a good cry. I know I did.
Well, hey to all
Let's
my
move the hell
friendos
on.
out there, non-canonical Chip and Zollicali here, just cutting in right quick to say that if you're liking this story, you might also like Popcross's newly released extended edition novel, Fear of the Demon Hunters.
Sweet.
It may be an action-adventure horror story about a gal with demon powers being lured into helping the former demon queen steal a mystical artifact, but it's also got lots of heartwarming stuff built into it too, and even revolves around the theme of redemption. So it's pretty perfect that this is the first Starseed Psyche episode where it's being advertised. It's got 66
Nice.
pages with full color art. It gives you access to an exclusive bonus chapter and episode version of that chapter through a link and scannable code thingy at the end of chapter 7. It's available on both
Ooh.
Amazon and Blurb, along with a whole bunch of other Popcross novels and coloring books and whatnot. So check it
Still
on out if
awesome.
you feel like it. Links are in the description. Thanks for listening. Now back into the tale. And maybe we'll get to see me get a tail. Eventually, the tears
Looks like that's a yes. Looks like we're going to get to see Chips, a Repsarian form, right now.
stopped coming, and Hekima and I
Ooh,
waited a
it's
few
coming.
moments so
Cool.
he could
Cool.
regather his composure before heading back. He thanked me about 30 times on the brief walk. He was clearly still shaken,
Ain't
but
nothing
it
to
felt
it.
like that had been good for him. When we arrived, not only had the ship vanished, but we had company. There was a group of about 30 people. 20 of them were clearly local tribespeople, the Ranichwara, and the other 10 were Cusidians. A couple of the Cusidians were chatting
Hello.
with Faye and Chip, while the rest of the people were setting up huts and shelters around the mini printing bay. Quinn was helping, and Crispin was still uncomfortably slouched against a tree, snarling at anyone who came close. It was a bit of emotional whiplash for me, but I went from the heart-wrenching conversation with Hekima
Oh my god, you're gonna make him do the exact same pose that he did when he was first introduced. This is awesome! You got human Chip and lizard Chip. This is how we can tell it's gonna be him. Because he's doing the thumbs up and everything. Oh, this is gonna be nice.
to doing all I could to avert my eyes from lingering too long on any of the Cusidians. It was hard to not stare at them. All of them, the women and the men, were insanely hot. I didn't even have
What?
the urge to look at them because I,
Wait, what?
wanted to get with them or something. I was super happy with Toshiko and was more attracted
All
to
that
her than to anyone
attractive?
else. It's just, not to objectify them, but it was like being at a crazy, fancy, futuristic car show or something. They were all so beautiful that I just wanted to stare at
Oh look, he even has the same smile. I love it.
in fascination and awe. But again, obviously didn't want it to come across to Toshiko that I was ogling them. I must have made that a little too obvious though, that I was averting my gaze, because Toshiko walked up to me and whispered, "Hey, I don't know if this is strange for me to suggest, but your eyes can go off leash if mine can too." I almost burst out
Okay.
laughing, then said, "Yeah,
Deal.
agreed." After that, we both very blatantly just stared at the Cusidians around us. They were
That
all
makes sense.
seriously stunning, but also all looked a little different. Seeing the chiseled Adonis-like men made me feel inspired and wish I could go off and do a killer workout. The elegant, flowing-haired women were so mesmerizing.
You gotta get that All Might build.
I worried if one approached me, I might just melt. What was particularly fun, though, was the fact that Toshiko and I were clearly feeling the same way. Staring at all these gorgeous aliens wasn't making us want to split up and get with them instead of each other. It was more like appreciating the looks of the Cusidians was just getting us revved up to have, some more alone time with each other. But, of course, we didn't. There were more important matters at hand. And
I was about to say, blow the whistle!
surprisingly, something even more interesting to look at was going to come up soon. After a few minutes of walking around the camp in awe, Faye brought me over to the Cusidians she and Chip were talking to, while Toshiko got down to work making our new suits and weapons. Once I'd approached, I noticed that Chip had a bit of a nervous, excited expression.
Ooh,
Faye gestured
found
to
it
the
out?
people before us. "Kaio, this is Kestor and Skoralda. Skoralda is a channel who can call upon a collective of our people's spiritual ancestors for guidance and wisdom. She
Oh,
was just
that's cool.
offering Chip and Sol an interesting opportunity." Skoralda pressed a finger against the middle of Chip's forehead and rested the other hand against the center of his chest. "We see your concealed form. We can feel the technology that holds you in this one. We can feel your
Oh.
desire to see who you once were. With the aid of a coherence healing circle, we can grant you a near painless transformation, if you so choose."
Neil Painless?
My jaw dropped and I stared at him in excitement. That's a pretty crazy coincidence. We were just talking about how we wanted to see Chip's Repsoro form.
Yes!
Skaralda lowered her hands. "Coincidence is an illusion, only perceived due to our lack of ability to see the interconnectedness of all things." Chip stammered
That's fine.
excitedly. "Well, I don't want to impose. We've got a lot of work we need to..."
Okay, so hold on. I'm guessing this thing in his chest is actually the device that allows his body to take on the human form that we've all known. I mean, I guess that could be. I think that is what his mom explained before, but I honestly can't recall every single detail from a
do, but
moment's notice.
if Ms. Yamada is going to take a while to make us some new weapons, and, you can turn me back to this form before the mission, I'm absolutely down to swap into my lizard side. Skaralda chuckled pleasantly at his excitement.
Lizzled me.
"Wonderful. When the camp is built, we shall gather the circle." Chip and I both chattered excitedly with each other as we helped with the camp. When we were nearly finished, I asked Faye, "Hey, what is a coherence healing circle?" "Well, generally it is when a group of people channel and activate the healing energy that exists within all of us. With a unified vision
okay.
and intention, that group can guide the energy to heal injuries and disease in the person at the center of the circle, and in turn, often even end up healing their own ailments. Everyone's body has the capacity to
That's
heal
nice.
itself from anything, and the circle simply helps break down the barriers
Oh, I just realized the tail ripped through his pants.
that prevent people's bodies from moving forward with the healing they need." My eyes shot open. "That's awesome. Is that a power that I'll get as a Cusidian Starseed too?" She chuckled. This isn't a Cusidian-specific ability, Kaio. Humans have
Anyone
always had the
can use it.
capacity to do this, and there are already communities in your world that do, though often with less success than my own people.
Yeah,
The
very
difficulty
minor
is that
success.
humans are raised with very limiting beliefs that keep many of you from accessing the divine energy that you are all inherently connected to beneath the layers of ego that often conceal it from you.
That
Every
does make
human has the
sense.
capacity to be a healer and to be healed. They just don't know it. Limiting belief means limited power. That was a pretty trippy idea, but also had me wondering why a healing circle would help Chip transform. Faye didn't have an answer to that
I mean, the Cusidian did say it would be with minimal pain. So yeah, I mean, he is taken on that form because his like bones and everything has just been shifted by the device. So he's gonna be in pain.
question, but Scaralda either heard me asking or just somehow knew I was thinking about it because she wandered over and said, Chippensaw's body is being held in an alternate state in which it is not meant to be. The technology accomplishing this is quite remarkable, but it forces his form into a structure in which he cannot fully thrive.
Yeah,
Imagine
exactly.
being made to wear a shoe that is 3 sizes too small for an extended period of time. The pain and tension that would come with that would likely come to feel normal to you eventually, but that does not mean it is better to keep the shoe on than to remove it.
Exactly.
Okay, I guess that makes sense, I replied. But wouldn't that mean the healing circle won't have the ability to change him back? Scaralda smiled softly. There is no need to worry about that. The response seemed a little bit cryptic and unsettling, but Scaralda's voice just had such a soothing effect that
We'll just
it
have to
made me
find
accept
out.
it as truth. When the camp was set up, Scaralda gathered a couple of the Cusidians, 7 of the tribespeople, Fae, and even me to partake. Before we began, though, Scaralda closed her eyes and shook her head around in an odd manner, then smiled. She walked away from the circle for a couple minutes, and I wasn't sure what was going on. Then she
going on?
returned with Hekima, who looked hesitant to join but was coming all the same. He stood next to me, looking nervous. I gave him
Oh.
a nudge and a reassuring nod.
Gonna be
He
okay.
smiled slightly back. Scaralda gave the instructions in both the language of the tribe and in Japanese so Chip, Hekima, and I could understand. The Cusidians already seemed to know the routine. Chip was lying on the ground with the
That
rest
would
of us
make
standing
sense.
around him. We were all instructed to hold our hands to our heart centers, close our eyes, and listen to a melody sung by Scaralda, and feel the healing energy arising. I didn't know what that meant until I felt it. At first, it seemed like it was just me making up
That'll
that I
go.
was feeling something. Part of me doubted that I could really help with this, but then I thought about what Faye had said. Limiting belief means limited power. I accepted that this was something I
Unlimited
could
faith.
truly help Chip
Of
with,
belief.
and
Whatever.
soon the energy of the circle was undeniable. I felt almost uncontrollably excited and comforted at the same time. Even though we were meant to target this energy towards Chip, I could feel random aches and tension in my own body melting away. After a few minutes, we were
Faye did say that it can even heal those that are participating in it, even if they are not the main subject.
instructed to aim our hands towards Chip, palms first. We had to keep our eyes closed, but it felt like a beam of light was shooting out of me. Without even understanding why, I started to cry. I couldn't stop it, but I also didn't want to. It felt more like happy tears than sad ones, but I couldn't pin down one specific
Like the
emotion
pain's
causing
finally
it.
gone.
I also heard Hekima sniffling next to me, and could tell he was crying too. We continued like that for, I don't really know how long, but it was such a beautiful feeling that I didn't care how long we went on. Eventually, I heard Chip laughing. It started quiet, then got louder until he was hysterical. I wanted to open my eyes, but didn't,
Oh, I
knowing
can't
I'd be
wait.
told when I was supposed to. Chip's laughter started to fade eventually, as did Scaralda's singing. My tears also stopped, but my whole body continued to buzz, like I'd had a soothing massage and then 6 espresso shots.
Ooh.
Finally, Scaralda
Sounds nice.
said, "It is done. Thank you, everyone. You may rise, Chippensall." I opened my eyes and first saw the tear-stained faces of everyone around me, then whipped my head down to look at Chip. Well, y'all, how do I look? Chip, seriously? You look so freaking cool.
Look at him! There he is! Chippensaw's true form! Chippin' Lizard! Love it!
I'd rather not even know the real me. Whew. Not quite Chip's rant, but my goodness. I'd rather not even...
Oh yeah, not even close. Both of those moments, good God, what am I saying? Both moments are emotional punching bags to the face.
Know the real me. Acting. When
Yes,
the camp
you
was
all.
set up, Skeralda gathered a couple of the Cusidians, 7 of the tribe's people. Blibbity bloobity, skibby, weepity boo boo, shroop boo, bbd. As much as I absolutely love how Starseed Psyche is turning out, I think one of my favorite things about it is I can feel the lessons I've learned in terms of writing character dynamics in this series, and how I think they work so well here to make the story more interesting. And now I know I can apply those lessons into my next stories coming up, and make them hopefully even better than this one. But I'm also enjoying, just being here in the present, in the actual writing of this project. Anyway, besides that, that's all for today, except of course for ending this video on some kind of positive or inspiring note. And the thought I want to leave people with today is actually a line that was a pretty last-minute insert, but really resonated with me. The thing Faye said about limiting beliefs means limited power. Your ability to succeed at anything, career-wise, healing-wise, fitness-wise, is directly related to your belief that you can achieve the thing you're going after. Because if you don't work at genuinely convincing yourself and believing that you can succeed at that thing, you will subconsciously find ways to sabotage yourself and not get to the success you're after.
Yeah, that just makes sense.
True belief in yourself is a genuine power. I hope that's inspiring. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode on Friday. Goodbye.
Alright everyone, that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all of y'all next time when we flick back on. Till then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.